Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world that often celebrates perfection, a world that paints pictures of flawless lives, unreal standards, and expectations that we can never fully meet. But I stand before you today to tell you something that is far more valuable than perfection, far more important than any idealized image. Respect the one who is real. Realness is not about fitting into a mold, it's about being unapologetically yourself. In a world full of filters and facades, where people wear masks to fit in, the one who is real stands apart. They are not afraid to show their scars, their struggles, and their vulnerabilities. They don't hide their tears or their fears. They embrace them as parts of their story. I'm sure many of you have met people who try to be something they're not, trying to please everyone, striving to meet the expectations of others. And perhaps you've even done it yourself. The pressure to conform, to pretend, can be overwhelming. But let me tell you this: you are more powerful when you are authentic, when you are true to yourself. The one who is real does not need to hide behind a mask to gain love or acceptance. They attract people who see them for who they truly are, people who respect them not because of their achievements, but because of their authenticity. Being real is about showing up with all your flaws and imperfections and saying, "This is me," no filters, no edits, no pretenses. When we stop pretending to be someone else, we allow ourselves the freedom to grow, to learn, and to evolve. And in that evolution, we inspire others to do the same. But there is also something else about realness. It's about honesty. It's about speaking your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about standing for what you believe in, even when the world tries to tell you otherwise. Being real is not always easy. It can be difficult, painful even, but it is the only way to live a life of integrity. It's the only way to honor yourself and those around you. You know, real people don't need validation from others. They don't need to be constantly praised or admired. They live with the quiet confidence of knowing that their worth is not determined by the opinions of others. They don't need to boast because their actions speak louder than words. They don't seek to prove anything, they simply are. And that, my friends, is something to be respected. So, when we look around us, let's choose to respect those who are real. Let's celebrate the ones who dare to be authentic, who refuse to hide behind perfection, who show up with courage, who choose vulnerability over pride. Let's respect the ones who make a difference, not by pretending to be perfect, but by embracing their truth. Because it is only by being real that we can ever truly connect with one another, and it is only by being real that we can ever make a lasting impact. In a world full of noise, it is the ones who stay true to themselves who will always shine the brightest. Realness is often misunderstood in today's world, where the ideals of perfection are constantly pushed at us through social media, advertisements, and the very culture we inhabit. The idea that we must look flawless, act flawless, and live flawless lives has taken deep root in our societies, creating a dangerous narrative that leaves many feeling unworthy if they don't measure up. But there is immense power in being authentic, in showing up as who you truly are, imperfections and all. At its core, realness isn't about meeting some unattainable standard or fitting into a preconceived mold of what is acceptable. It's about embracing the reality of being human, of having both strengths and weaknesses, successes and failures, moments of grace and moments of struggle. The pursuit of perfection often blinds us to the fact that the beauty of life is in its imperfection, in the raw, unfiltered moments where we are truly ourselves. It is when we allow ourselves to be real, when we shed the weight of pretense, that we experience a deeper sense of fulfillment and connection with those around us. In many ways, the constant drive for perfection has distorted our understanding of what it means to be truly happy and at peace. We are taught that success is a straight line, that we must always be progressing, always moving forward without faltering. But this leaves little room for the messy, unpredictable reality of life, where things don't always go according to plan. Realness, however, recognizes that life is not linear. It's a series of ups and downs, of learning from mistakes and growing through challenges. It acknowledges that we are constantly evolving beings, shaped by our experiences, our choices, and our relationships with others. Realness calls for acceptance, acceptance of ourselves and acceptance of others. When we accept ourselves, we stop the harmful cycle of comparison, where we look at others and think that their lives are better or more perfect than ours. We start to realize that everyone is navigating their own struggles, their own journey. When we let go of the need to be someone we are not, we unlock the freedom to live authentically and embrace all that makes us unique. It's only in embracing our true selves, our passions, quirks, fears, and imperfections that we can begin to find peace and satisfaction in our lives. We stop trying to fit into the mold of what others expect of us and start carving our own path. Embracing realness also means letting go of the desire to please others. Many of us spend so much time trying to gain approval, seeking validation from those around us, that we lose sight of our own desires and needs. We conform to the expectations set by our family, society, or even our peers, thinking that in doing so, we will earn their love or acceptance. But the truth is, no amount of approval can bring true happiness unless we are living in alignment with who we really are. The constant search for external validation only leads to feelings of emptiness, because it places our worth in the hands of others, rather than in our own understanding of ourselves. When we stop seeking permission to be who we are, we step into our power. We realize that our worth isn't determined by anyone else's opinion, but by our own understanding of our value. Being real means that we give ourselves permission to fail. In the world of perfection, failure is often seen as something to be avoided at all costs. It's seen as a mark of incompetence, something to be hidden away, swept under the rug. But the truth is that failure is an essential part of growth. It is only through failure that we learn, that we evolve, that we gain the wisdom needed to succeed in the future. When we embrace realness, we recognize that mistakes are simply stepping stones on the path to success. We learn to view failure not as a reflection of our inadequacy, but as an opportunity for growth and transformation. Realness also involves vulnerability, the willingness to be open and honest about our experiences, our emotions, and our struggles. In a world that often prizes stoicism and emotional restraint, showing vulnerability can feel like a risk. Yet it is through vulnerability that we connect with others on a deeper level. It is through our willingness to share our true selves, with all our imperfections, that we create space for others to do the same. Vulnerability builds trust, fosters empathy, and deepens relationships. It allows us to move beyond surface-level interactions and truly see each other for who we are. And in doing so, we create a sense of belonging, a sense of community where we know we are accepted, not in spite of our flaws, but because of them. One of the most freeing aspects of embracing realness is the sense of relief that comes with no longer pretending to be someone you are not. The burden of maintaining an image, of living up to an ideal, can be exhausting. The constant pressure to perform, to present a polished version of ourselves to the world, can leave us feeling disconnected and isolated. But when we choose to show up authentically, we free ourselves from that weight. We no longer have to hide behind masks or put on a show for others. We can simply be, and in that simplicity, we find peace. Realness also has the power to transform the way we interact with the world around us. When we are real, we create an environment where others feel safe to be themselves too. We become examples of what it means to live truthfully, to embrace both our light and our darkness. We set the stage for deeper connections, where we stop judging others for their imperfections and instead celebrate them for their authenticity. When we allow ourselves to be real, we create a ripple effect, encouraging those around us to do the same. In the end, being real is not about achieving some perfect standard of authenticity, but about showing up with sincerity. It's about accepting yourself as you are, embracing the journey of growth, and finding beauty in the process. It's about recognizing that we are all imperfectly human, and that's what makes us beautiful. It is through our realness that we learn to love ourselves and others more deeply, to connect on a level that transcends superficiality, and to live with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Realness isn't a destination, it's a way of being. And when we live this way, we find not only ourselves, but a deeper, more meaningful connection with the world around us. Honesty and integrity are two values that are often talked about but rarely fully embraced. In a world where appearances can be manipulated and perceptions shaped by social media, choosing to live honestly is a radical act. It's not just about telling the truth, it's about being true to ourselves and others, even when it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, or unpopular. Living with honesty requires vulnerability. It requires us to confront our deepest fears and doubts, to reveal our true selves without the shield of pretense. It demands that we strip away the layers of armor we wear to protect ourselves from judgment or rejection. But in doing so, we open ourselves up to genuine connection and a life rooted in authenticity. Honesty is not simply the absence of lies, it's the presence of truth. It means being transparent in our words, actions, and intentions. It's about showing up as who we truly are without the need to impress or gain approval. This might be a difficult pill to swallow in a society that places so much value on curated perfection. We've all been taught that success looks a certain way, that happiness should be a constant state, and that we should always present our best selves to the world. But honesty calls us to go beyond these superficial expectations. It calls us to embrace our flaws, to acknowledge our struggles, and to accept ourselves exactly as we are. It reminds us that our worth is not determined by our ability to conform to societal standards, but by our ability to remain authentic in the face of pressure to be someone else. Being honest with others requires a level of courage. It's easy to go along with the crowd, to say what people want to hear, to avoid uncomfortable truths in order to preserve peace or avoid conflict. But true honesty is not about convenience. It's about speaking up when it matters, even if it's difficult. When we speak with honesty, we open the door to deeper relationships. We invite others to be real with us as well, creating an environment where vulnerability is welcomed. When we hide our true thoughts and feelings, we build walls between ourselves and others. But when we choose honesty, we build bridges. Honesty fosters trust, and trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Without trust, relationships are shallow and transactional. With honesty, however, relationships grow stronger, more resilient, and more genuine. Integrity is the second side of the coin. Where honesty is about being truthful in what we say, integrity is about aligning our actions with our values. Integrity is the commitment to do what is right, even when no one is watching, even when it would be easier to cut corners or take shortcuts. It's about living with consistency, making decisions that reflect who we truly are, not just in public, but in private as well. Integrity is not something we put on like a mask, it's something that comes from deep within. It's a reflection of our character, of our commitment to doing the right thing, even when the right thing is hard. Having integrity means that we don't bend our principles to fit the situation. It means that we stand firm in our values, regardless of the pressure around us. Integrity often requires us to make difficult choices. It might mean speaking up in a situation where silence would be easier, or standing up for someone when it would be safer to look away. It may require us to sacrifice something for the sake of what we believe is right, whether that's time, money, or personal comfort. Integrity doesn't allow us to compromise our beliefs for convenience or short-term gain. It asks us to stay true to our moral compass, even when the world tries to lead us astray. When we act with integrity, we become reliable. People come to trust that our words match our actions, that we will do what we say we will do. Integrity builds credibility, and credibility is the cornerstone of respect. Whether in our personal lives or in the workplace, people are drawn to those who are consistent in their values and actions. They know that when they work with someone who has integrity, they can trust them to follow through, to do what's right, and to remain steadfast in their commitments. However, integrity is not about being perfect. It doesn't mean that we will never make mistakes or that we should pretend to have all the answers. Integrity is about being honest in our imperfections, owning our mistakes, and learning from them. When we act with integrity, we admit when we're wrong, take responsibility for our actions, and work to make things right. Integrity is not about avoiding failure, it's about handling failure with grace and accountability. It's about maintaining our moral compass, even when the road ahead is uncertain or difficult. Honesty and integrity are what give us the strength to stand tall, even when the world is full of challenges. They allow us to live in alignment with our true selves, to walk through life with a sense of purpose and self-respect. Without honesty, we live in constant fear of being exposed, of having our secrets uncovered. But when we live with honesty, we no longer have to fear judgment or rejection because we have already accepted who we are. With integrity, we live in harmony with our principles, knowing that our actions reflect our values. We no longer have to compromise our beliefs for the sake of convenience or approval. When we combine honesty with integrity, we become a force for good in the world. We inspire others to act with authenticity, to live with courage, and to speak their truths. Our honesty empowers others to do the same, creating a ripple effect that can transform communities, workplaces, and relationships. Integrity ensures that our actions are aligned with our values, and it gives us the strength to navigate the complexities of life with grace and consistency. Together, honesty and integrity create a foundation for a life of meaning, purpose, and respect. They help us build deep, authentic relationships, live with self-respect, and become the kind of person we admire. Self-acceptance is one of the most profound gifts we can give ourselves. In a world that is constantly telling us how we should look, act, and think, the ability to accept ourselves as we are is revolutionary. It is the foundation for personal growth, mental well-being, and authentic happiness. Self-acceptance doesn't mean resigning ourselves to our flaws or limitations. It means acknowledging them without judgment, without shame, and with the understanding that we are worthy of love and respect just as we are. It is easy to get caught in the trap of self-criticism. The voices around us, whether they come from society, our families, or even our own inner dialogue, often convince us that we are not enough. We are not thin enough, not successful enough, not accomplished enough. These messages are pervasive, shaping our sense of worth and leading us to believe that who we are at this moment is not good enough. But self-acceptance teaches us to quiet those voices, to stop measuring our value against external standards, and to begin to honor ourselves for the person we are becoming, not just for what we have achieved or how we appear. True self-acceptance means embracing both our strengths and our weaknesses. It's easy to love the parts of ourselves that are admired by others or that fit into the boxes of societal expectation. But self-acceptance challenges us to love the parts of ourselves that are not so easy to accept. It asks us to love our flaws, our scars, and our insecurities. It asks us to look at the things we wish we could change and acknowledge that, even in their imperfection, they are part of the beautiful complexity that makes us who we are. Self-acceptance is about embracing our humanity, our mistakes, and our imperfections with kindness rather than judgment. The journey to self-acceptance is not a one-time event, it's a continuous process. It requires patience and compassion. We must be willing to sit with ourselves in moments of discomfort, to face the parts of ourselves that we wish to hide, and to accept them not as flaws but as integral parts of our story. We must also learn to let go of the need for external validation. Too often, we place our worth in the hands of others, whether through likes on social media, praise from our peers, or the approval of family and friends. While validation can feel good in the moment, it is fleeting. True self-acceptance comes when we no longer need others to tell us we are enough because we already know it ourselves. In the pursuit of self-acceptance, it's important to distinguish between acceptance and complacency. Accepting ourselves as we are doesn't mean we stop striving for growth or improvement. On the contrary, true self-acceptance creates a strong foundation for growth. When we accept ourselves as we are, we no longer see our flaws as something to be ashamed of or fixed. Instead, we see them as opportunities for growth. We recognize that perfection is not the goal, progress is. Self-acceptance gives us the confidence to take on challenges, to push ourselves outside our comfort zones, and to grow in ways that feel authentic to us. It allows us to move through the world with self-compassion rather than self-judgment. Another critical aspect of self-acceptance is the ability to forgive ourselves. We all make mistakes. We all have moments we regret, things we wish we had done differently. But holding on to guilt or shame only prevents us from moving forward. Self-acceptance requires us to let go of these negative emotions and to give ourselves the grace to learn from our mistakes rather than to carry them around as burdens. When we forgive ourselves, we allow ourselves the freedom to evolve and to become the person we were always meant to be. We no longer see our past errors as defining us, but as stepping stones to a better version of ourselves. Self-acceptance also requires the courage to set boundaries. It means knowing when to say no, when to protect our time and energy, and when to prioritize our well-being. Often we struggle with self-acceptance because we are too focused on pleasing others or seeking their approval. We allow ourselves to be pulled in different directions, taking on responsibilities that drain us or saying yes to things we don't truly want to do. But self-acceptance teaches us that our needs are just as important as the needs of others. It teaches us that we are worthy of respect, of care, and of love, and that it's okay to prioritize ourselves without guilt. It's important to note that self-acceptance does not mean we stop caring about how we impact others. Accepting ourselves doesn't give us a free pass to behave badly or to disregard the feelings of others. Rather, it means that we acknowledge our mistakes, apologize when necessary, and grow from our experiences. It means that we treat ourselves with kindness and extend that same kindness to those around us. Self-acceptance fosters empathy, not only for ourselves but also for others. When we learn to accept ourselves, we become more understanding of the challenges and struggles that others face, and we are more capable of offering support without judgment. One of the most transformative aspects of self-acceptance is the way it helps us cultivate a sense of inner peace. When we stop fighting against ourselves, when we stop trying to be someone we are not, we free ourselves from the constant internal battle that drains our energy and our joy. We begin to feel at peace with who we are in the present moment, knowing that we are enough just as we are. This inner peace allows us to move through life with more clarity, more confidence, and more resilience. We stop seeking external approval and start trusting ourselves, which leads to a more fulfilling and purposeful life. Another powerful benefit of self-acceptance is the way it enhances our ability to connect with others. When we accept ourselves fully, we are able to show up for others without judgment. We no longer feel the need to compare ourselves to others or to compete for validation. Instead, we embrace the uniqueness of others, recognizing that just as we are imperfect, so are they. This understanding fosters deeper, more meaningful relationships based on mutual respect and genuine connection. Realness is not a trait that can be easily defined or quantified. It is a quality that comes from within, an authenticity that transcends societal expectations and surface-level impressions. Being real requires one to shed the layers of pretense and facades that often cloud who we truly are. In a world that is constantly changing, where we are constantly presented with the pressure to conform, being real can feel like an act of rebellion. Yet it is through embracing realness that we find our most profound connections, our truest selves, and our deepest fulfillment. At the heart of realness lies vulnerability. To be real with others, we must first be real with ourselves. This means confronting our fears, our insecurities, and our weaknesses head-on, without the defense mechanisms that we often use to shield ourselves from discomfort. It means allowing ourselves to be seen for who we truly are, without editing or censoring parts of ourselves that we deem unworthy or unappealing. It is a courageous act, one that asks us to live openly and without apology. To be real is to give others the permission to do the same, creating a space where honesty and transparency can thrive. Realness requires us to reject the concept of perfection. Society often paints an image of what we should look like, how we should behave, and what we should achieve. These expectations are often unattainable and unrealistic, yet we find ourselves chasing after them, believing that we must measure up in order to be worthy of acceptance or success. But realness teaches us that perfection is an illusion. It's not about having it all together or conforming to a mold. It's about accepting our imperfections and recognizing that they are what make us human. We don't need to have every answer, every success, or every part of ourselves figured out. We just need to be honest with where we are, who we are, and what we're experiencing in the moment. To be real is to be unapologetically yourself, without seeking validation from others. We often look to external sources for approval, constantly seeking the affirmation that we are worthy or acceptable. But when we are real, we no longer need others to define our worth. We understand that our value comes from within, from how we see ourselves and the choices we make. Being real means trusting ourselves enough to stand firm in our beliefs, our desires, and our boundaries without needing others to agree with us or endorse our decisions. It's about having the confidence to be who we are, regardless of whether or not it fits into the boxes society has set for us. In our relationships, being real fosters deeper connections. When we are real with others, we invite them to be real with us. This authenticity is the foundation of trust. When we let go of pretense, when we stop trying to appear perfect or put together, we give others the freedom to do the same. This creates a bond that is rooted in mutual respect and vulnerability, rather than the superficiality of appearances. Realness allows us to connect on a deeper level, to share our joys and sorrows, our successes and failures, without fear of judgment or rejection. It is through these authentic connections that we experience the true beauty of human interaction. One of the greatest obstacles to realness is the fear of rejection. We worry that if we show our true selves, if we let down our guard and reveal our vulnerabilities, we will be judged or criticized. This fear of rejection keeps us trapped in a cycle of pretending, wearing masks, and constantly adjusting ourselves to meet the expectations of others. But realness requires us to face this fear head on. It asks us to step out of our comfort zones and embrace the possibility of being rejected, understanding that being true to ourselves is far more important than seeking the approval of others. In doing so, we give ourselves the freedom to be imperfect, to be authentic, and to live a life that is truly our own. Realness is also about being honest in our actions, not just our words. It's easy to say the right things, to express our beliefs or opinions, but living authentically requires us to back up those words with actions. When we say one thing but do another, we create a disconnect between our true selves and the image we project to the world. To be real means to live in alignment with our values, to act in ways that reflect our deepest beliefs and desires. This alignment between words and actions builds integrity, creating a sense of trust within ourselves and with others. It means that we can rely on our own sense of authenticity, knowing that what we say matches what we do, and that we are living with purpose and intention. Being real also means accepting the ebb and flow of life. We are constantly changing, growing, and evolving. Our beliefs, desires, and perspectives shift over time as we learn and experience new things. Realness isn't about holding on to a fixed identity or resisting change. It's about allowing ourselves to evolve while staying grounded in our core values and truths. It's about being open to growth, to new experiences, and to the lessons that life offers while still remaining connected to the essence of who we are. In a world that often encourages us to conform, to wear masks, and to present an idealized version of ourselves, realness becomes an act of rebellion. It is an invitation to break free from the constraints of societal expectations and to embrace the full spectrum of our humanity. It asks us to live authentically, to embrace our imperfections, and to trust that who we are is enough. Being real is not always easy, but it is one of the most powerful ways to cultivate a life of meaning, fulfillment, and connection. It allows us to experience the world in its truest, rawest form and to build relationships that are grounded in authenticity and mutual respect. Through realness, we find freedom, the freedom to be ourselves, to embrace the unknown, and to create a life that is uniquely our own. To truly understand the importance of kindness, we must first recognize that it is not just an action, but a mindset, a way of being. Kindness is often seen as a simple gesture, a smile, a helping hand, a thoughtful word, yet its impact can be profound and far-reaching. It goes beyond surface-level acts of generosity or politeness. It is a deep, intentional way of engaging with the world and the people around us. In a world that can often seem filled with division, negativity, and conflict, kindness is a powerful antidote. It is a force that can heal wounds, bridge gaps, and transform lives. One of the most significant aspects of kindness is its ability to create connection. In a world where people can feel isolated or disconnected, even the smallest acts of kindness can remind others that they are seen, valued, and worthy of care. A simple gesture, such as holding the door for someone, offering a compliment, or listening attentively to someone's concerns, can make a world of difference. These small acts may seem insignificant in isolation, but when combined, they create a ripple effect. When people experience kindness, they are more likely to pass it on to others. This creates a cycle of goodwill that can spread from one person to another, transforming communities, workplaces, and even entire societies. However, kindness is not limited to external actions. It also plays a crucial role in how we treat ourselves. Too often, we are our own harshest critics, berating ourselves for our perceived shortcomings or failures. We set impossibly high standards and believe that we must meet them in order to be worthy of love, success, or happiness. But kindness begins with self-compassion. When we learn to treat ourselves with the same gentleness, understanding, and forgiveness that we extend to others, we create a solid foundation for personal growth and emotional well-being. Self-kindness does not mean excusing our mistakes or avoiding accountability. Rather, it means acknowledging our humanity and accepting ourselves with all our imperfections. It is about recognizing that we are deserving of care and respect. regardless of our perceived flaws or limitations. Kindness also requires us to be empathetic. It calls us to step into the shoes of others, to understand their struggles, and to offer support in whatever way we can. Empathy is the ability to feel what others are feeling, to connect with their experiences and emotions, and to respond with compassion. It is about recognizing that everyone is fighting battles we may not be able to see. When we act with empathy, we create an environment of trust and understanding, where people feel safe to share their vulnerabilities and seek help without fear of judgment. Empathy allows us to see the humanity in others, regardless of their background, beliefs, or circumstances. It encourages us to look beyond our differences and recognize the common threads that bind us all. In a society that often prioritizes individual success over collective well-being, kindness has the power to shift the narrative. When we are kind to others, we are not just improving their day or alleviating their struggles, we are also contributing to a larger, more compassionate community. Acts of kindness create a sense of belonging, a reminder that we are all in this together. They remind us that our actions, no matter how small, can have a ripple effect that extends far beyond our immediate circle. Kindness strengthens the social fabric by fostering trust, cooperation, and a shared sense of responsibility. It encourages us to lift others up, to celebrate their successes, and to support them through their challenges. Furthermore, kindness is not always easy, and it is not always reciprocated. There may be times when our kindness goes unnoticed or unappreciated, and in those moments it can be easy to feel discouraged or resentful. But kindness is not about seeking validation or expecting something in return. It is a gift we give freely, without strings attached. True kindness is unconditional. It does not depend on how others respond or whether our efforts are acknowledged. It is an internal choice, a reflection of our values, and a commitment to creating a more positive and compassionate world. When we give kindness without expecting anything in return, we free ourselves from the need for external approval or recognition. We act from a place of genuine care, knowing that our actions are meaningful regardless of how they are received. One of the most powerful ways kindness can be expressed is through the act of forgiveness. Holding on to grudges or harboring resentment only serves to create division and perpetuate pain. Forgiveness, on the other hand, has the power to release us from the grip of anger and bitterness. It allows us to move forward with a sense of peace and understanding, recognizing that holding on to past hurts only weighs us down. Forgiveness is not about excusing harmful behavior or forgetting the wrongs done to us. It is about releasing the emotional hold those wrongs have on our hearts. It is a form of kindness to ourselves and to others, offering the chance for healing and reconciliation. When we forgive, we create space for growth, understanding, and mutual respect. Kindness is also a source of strength. It takes courage to be kind in the face of adversity or when others may not treat us with the same consideration. It can be difficult to offer kindness to those who have hurt us or to show compassion to those who seem undeserving. But it is in these moments that kindness is most needed. It is in the face of conflict, anger, or fear that we have the opportunity to choose a different path, one that prioritizes understanding, compassion, and connection. By responding with kindness, we break the cycle of negativity and open the door to transformation. There is also a deep connection between kindness and gratitude. When we practice kindness, we become more aware of the positive aspects of our lives. We begin to appreciate the small moments, the people around us, and the opportunities to make a difference. Kindness fosters a mindset of abundance where we focus on what we can give rather than what we can take. It shifts our attention from scarcity to generosity, helping us to recognize that we have the power to create change through our actions.